directed because I want to keep us on like the 30,000-foot level because it's a county-wide program issue, and it's not just a high school issue. We can't look at high school separately of elementary and middle school in terms of the what ifs or what are some of these things important. Like I said, not all of these have to be resolved today. But if we're looking at feeder patterns, we're looking at longer range solutions or potential remedies to potential challenges that exist out there. I tried to look at here's the different programs that are out there, where they're housed, what the current population is in their highest level grade, and then what the current feeder pattern is. You know, if something needs to happen there or something that could happen there, what are some of the challenges? For instance, if you go to Bay Vista Fundamental, you'll notice that there's 110 fifth graders. Right now, they currently feed to, according to policy, a fundamental middle school. And then one of the challenge would be, or one of the questions to ask as we move further down the road, doesn't have to be today, again, should that be a specific middle school named for the Bay Vista students? Of course, there's challenges when you do that because of where those kids are at right now.
Right.
So it's just not just you do it today and implement it tomorrow because it's more complicated than it just appears on the surface. And then the potential remedy, I say, is a specific receiving middle school. If you keep sliding down, it's pretty much repeated for each of those. You know, I do want to draw your attention about halfway down where it says James Sanderlin. Right now, they feed to Thurgood Marshall Middle School, and one might ask, well, is that, depending on what you want to do, longer range, whether it's you do something on your own, whether that's something that you look at with the MSAP grant or the Magnet Schools Assistance Program grant, or something else, is this the time to start looking at a middle years program at Sanderlin? And do you look at it as trying to take on a whole different middle school than Thurgood Marshall, or do you start looking at can they be kindergarten through 8 on that facility? So there's a number of things. It's kind of an exciting time because there's a lot of options that could be put out there on the table. Plus, as you're looking at, if the enrollment does decline, then maybe K-8 is the way to do it down the road. But I'm not suggesting that. I'm just throwing some ideas out there. Yes.
I know you said we can't do the ranked application or even put it to the board because of the technology part, but that certainly would help.
Absolutely.
The fundamental elementary going to the middle fundamental. And I'm still looking forward to that.
Yeah. And we're looking forward to, we're converting from the telephone application to the online application for this coming cycle, but something that's definitely high on the priority list to look at for the following school year. Okay, Dr. Jansen? That's the elementary issue, and I could keep going down, but you get the idea of what's going on there. But I would be remiss if I didn't cover that again.
One of the things we need to decide as soon as we know the date for the MSAP grant, we need to hear a direction whether the board would like us to even go out and apply. I mean, the competition is very heavy. We have to spend some time and try to figure out how we can gain the points since we're no longer under court order or, in our unitary status. That's where we are now. So we wouldn't get the extra points, and that's often the deciding factor whether you get awarded or not.
Okay. Then we come down to the middle school programs because obviously that's part of why we're here today for the purpose of fundamental. And once again, I've included when this snapshot was taken, we haven't changed the enrollment numbers, and they have gone down just a little bit in terms of the current 8th graders. But you'll notice that right now, Clearwater, Madeira Beach, and Thurgood, they feed to Osceola High School. From a pure math perspective, if every single one of those students wanted a seat at Osceola High School, there aren't 850 seats. 850 is a rounded up. It's a rounded off number. There are not. Okay. You can anticipate somewhere between about 450 and 480 ninth grade seats at Osceola for next year. So one of the potential remedies is you look at creating additional spaces somewhere, whether it's, and and we'll keep drilling down a little bit as we move forward. Then the next 3 schools on there, you've got the gifted program that was started for this school year at Thurgood, Dunedin, and Fitzgerald. And one of the questions on the table is, do we need to look at elementary feeders into those 3 schools? Once again, I'm not suggesting, I'm just putting it out there on the table. Is that something that needs to be considered? And then in addition to that, should there be boundaries similar to what we do for IB and the wellness program for those gifted programs at the existing 3 middle schools because of transportation issues and as such? So those are things that that would definitely need to be considered, and I remind you that it's November 17th, and the application period starts January 9th, and I'm not getting any younger. Okay.
And Jim, I'm assuming that Osceola High by Thurgood Marshall gifted is a typo?
No, it's not. And
Really?
actually, because Thurgood Marshall kids are fundamental students, the way the policy says right now is because of the fundamental piece, that label that goes on that same group of kids, they would get a fundamental seat at Osceola, but no carrying forward necessarily of a identified gifted program at the high
Are
school.
they included in that 285?
Yes, they're part of the 285.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And I'm sorry.
No, that's good. That's a good question.
285 is just the fundamental schools.
Actually, 205 is both groups. It's the fundamental and the gifted kids. I just grouped them all together.
And I should ask, too, would you prefer to finish your
No.
presentation, or?
Hey, I'm fine interacting as we move.
Probably easier as you go.
Yeah, I would think so. Aye,
Okay.
Dr. Jansen.
Okay?
Good.
Yes. Okay. Then what I thought would be interesting now to show you is the longer range impact of some of these things that we shared in some of the earlier slides. And I believe we gave you a hard copy of this because sometimes it's easier to read, and unless we can tell you where to put the numbers in the right box to make sure they go straight across the line. If you look at what we listed in the far left column, obviously, is the name of each high school. Then we've listed the number of students that they're staffed for right now. That doesn't necessarily translate into pure capacity. Then the next column is what the capacity should be according to FISH and other things, and knowing that, at least for discussion, even though it may not be perfect, it gives you the concept. The reason there's an asterisk next to Boca Ciega, and that's because they're currently under construction, we've kept their population somewhat smaller than what it can have once the construction's done. So just so you know that. And then there's another school later on the second sheet, which we're not ready to go to yet. Then in the middle set of columns, we've listed not only the current programs, but if every single seat was full in that program, in the perfect world, in some cases they are, in some cases they aren't, then that's how many seats that program would take up of the 1,928 to the left of that. On the drawing plans for Boca Ciega is an engineering center of excellence, and I should have put center of excellence in that next to the last set of columns. And that program will take approximately 250 to 400 seats out of, and for the purpose of this discussion, it's probably safe to say that they're all going to be county-wide, unless something else happens. But I think as we move forward. So that means if you look at, go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Excuse me, explanation. When you say countywide from the standpoint of transportation,